Okay, good evening, Internet Serfs. This is the Veritasia Ministries Veritasia Embassy update for Thursday, June 19th, 2014. Right. And basically, I am going to be directing the rest of this video at one particular individual because basically I want to show you in our continuing series where I've basically given the portraits of various levels of authority. Started out with portrait of a wizard a couple days ago, then I went to portrait of a royal, which I'm a little concerned because I did that particular video without that particular person's direct permission to do so. On the other hand, okay, the fact that that person is a royal, in my mind, that gives me permission to say certain things in ways. Okay, as long as I'm protecting individual privacy rights, it gives me the right to say things in certain ways simply because I am the king. Okay, in other words, I'm taking full responsibility as Chief Executive Officer, Veritasia Ministries. Let's just abandon the game for a moment and ground ourselves in, quote unquote, the real world. Okay. All right. Let me break something down for you. Communication with His Grace Archduke Brian the White earlier this afternoon. Okay. He has been invited to this hangout. I haven't called him in advance about this hangout. He might actually miss it. Okay. But I am going to invite him to respond either publicly or privately in any which way he wants to. Because, frankly, Brian, as much as I love you, and I'm not trying to poke or prod you in any particular direction based on authority that I do not have or should not have with you. Okay. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use the authority I already should have you as I understand the way authority needs to work between individuals, let alone teams, let alone groups, let alone armies, inside Veritasia. Okay, there is a certain specific reason in terms of tangible results why you were appointed the system's first functioning Archduke. And so I'm calling upon you to exercise that function. Never mind that you don't know what I'm talking about yet. Don't give me that excuse, because I'm about to show you why. Okay? Frankly, you don't like the fact that video presentations have been long lately. Okay? They're not necessarily directed at you. They're not necessarily directed at any particular person and a specific individual besides the random traffic that I can expect to get from simply the fact that the video exists from day to day to day. Okay. With all due respect, Brian, you don't have any control or any authority over how long I make my presentations. I choose not to script for a reason. The reason I choose not to script right now, and it may change, yes, I believe there is a time to lay out a script, have it in front of me, and do a scripted presentation for the sake brevity. Yeah, I will grant you all of that. I will even grant you that you and your partner who are working on a completely different video-based project, okay, probably know more in a general sense about video production than I do. Okay. But this is again a case of I can't necessarily keep track of everything. Okay. And we've had discussions about memory problems on either side of that equation before. Okay. But with all due respect, all right, there was a reason why I asked you for the particular loan that I wanted to make to His Majesty's government. Okay. I offered you very good terms on that loan. Right? The plans of the throne are such that basically you and I both know, or at least the way you expressed your doubt, maybe you don't know it, but I know it. Okay, that the concrete objective parts of the plan are going to go forward with you or without you, son. They're going to go forward with you or without you. The reason I asked you about the possibility of fronting this particular loan for His Majesty's government was, basically, I'm on divine orders. I'm on divine orders because I've learned to expect to get divine orders out of the fact that I've declared an absolute intention. Okay. I'm going to make you look that up for yourself because it's in the front door of the Empower Network. Okay. It's in the front door of the Empower Network. It's actually, I believe that I first learned the technique on a video called Enter the Queen, which is a specific video in the front door before you get to the login space in Empower Network. Never mind, Brian, whether you are quote-unquote currently a member, currently an affiliate of Empower Network. What I know objectively is that you have not made blog posts in several months. Okay. What I conclude from that is that you become frustrated with the Empower Network process. Okay. Or, to put it metaphorically, you really don't want to go to all the trouble of studying magic. That's okay. That's perfectly all right. Okay. The agreement between us is you're a royal house. Okay? You're a royal house already. There's like one thing standing between you and the rank of prince is basically you would need to get your ass over here and have me basically effectively knight you as a prince so that I can verify to the rest of the system and for all time. See, the thing is, if I appoint you to a prince rank yet, before we've established the conditions for another personal visit, okay, whether it's me coming to you, you coming to me, doesn't matter. Okay. But before we've established the conditions for another personal visit, the problem with appointing you as a prince of the Royal House of Veritasia is that right now you're still running the Shackley Nation, whether I like it or not. Okay. And effectively what that means is that I have to go and appoint another Archduke. Okay? That person is going to be a Shackley rep by definition. Okay? Good citizenship is going to be a Shackley rep, but they can only come from one of two places, Brian. They can only come from my group, my personal group, or your personal group. Okay? I have no reason to suspect that any of the customers you have attached to your, to your database of customers, you've told me point blank that you're not pushing Shackley. And that's perfectly okay. Okay? That's perfectly okay. I recognize that it's, you're coming up on your 67th birthday. You don't necessarily feel any real financial tension to go out and create any more money. To you, the support of this entire project is about supporting me as much as possible. Okay. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to put a new and loving spin on the definition of as much as possible without necessarily putting you to anything you might consider, forbid work. Okay. Not to say that you're a lazy person. I know you're not. I know you better than that. You're not a lazy person. I'm not. I want to make that clear that I'm speaking to you as a beloved friend of many years. I'm speaking to you as a person who is trying to, basically resolve what George Lucas in Star Wars called a life debt between us, okay, that has existed for many, many years because of, for example, my unfulfilled commitments to Shackley. Okay, I've discovered that I need to take those certain things in a certain order. All right. What I've discovered is basically I need to build up an entire team before I can even get back into Empower Network. Then I need to learn everything Empower Network has to teach me before I can go and apply that to a real Shackley business. Okay, so I can very easily see why your old habit of looking at me as a victim, okay, because that's what I did. I earned that position with you as much as I don't like to say it. I earned that position with you because I was constantly bitching for years about how much money I didn't have to do XYZ thing. Okay. Well, I went back to one of my videos from approximately a year ago now, and I believe the title of the video is Was Joining the Empower Network a Mistake? Okay. And basically, I documented the fact that I had made a primary approach to inside the Empower Network legal department, okay, about certain unresolved issues. I'm not necessarily saying anybody was at fault. I had certain things I needed to learn about how the internet worked or didn't. Okay, that was just the bottom line. Attention, this is still my struggling phase. Okay, this is still my struggling phase. What's nice is we're going to be able to capture all the useful stuff inside this struggling phase before I've made any money. Okay, and we're going to have social proof of what or how long that particular process can take. Okay, if I do anything, inside Empower Network as a company, I want to use this material on other things as part of the development of my next course. I'm hoping will take a completely different direction than marketing qua marketing. Okay, I may, I expect to learn a vast amount from not just the core products, but the entire product line of Empower Network as it exists today. Okay, and I may or may not implement. Let's just say I want to save myself an ungodly amount of work. Okay, I may or may not implement every single strategy or find inside Empower Network's material, because one of the things we do, being good marketers who understand the whole concept of overvalue for money, is you want to actually provide, too much information on purpose in your toolbox, okay, so that, theoretically, a person doesn't need to be implementing every single technique or every single technical step that goes with every technique in order to understand the primary approach they want to take to success. Okay, I've learned some things about, for example, the function of the Costa Rica intensive. The Costa Rica intensive is about team building, and I'm not telling tales out of school to say this, because David Wood said this himself. David Wood said this himself, but he was basically talking about, before I even get very far into that process, he was talking about establishing the authority that you need team building. Well, what it was he had a room full of marketing authorities producing a course before Empower Network, qua Empower Network as it exists today, was even launched. Okay, that's what the Costa Rica intensive was, folks. And I won't even get into. I don't have the statistics to understand what, the 30, I think it's, some magical number like 37 people in that original room. I don't know what they're doing with their income today. I know that they're some of the top earners in the company. That's all I know from the outside looking in and the public statements. Okay. And the thing I don't want to do is I don't want to re-engineer or duplicate any of the information that actually appears in the Costa Rica intensive. Okay. Because while I could, it's a matter of reframing everything in my own words, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Basically, we both know that would constitute a kind of theft of intellectual property, and that's frankly not cool. Okay, it doesn't piss off a wizard. It never does any good to piss off a wizard. Okay. So anyway, but what am I saying? Okay. So, Ryan, what we have on the table is we have this potential loan to His Majesty's government. I won't go into the details of that. I'm sure the details of that privately. It doesn't need to go here. Okay. But, for example, uh, one of the interesting, challenging things that you said was, what was it really my issue that, couldn't I just borrow from? And what I tried to explain to you at the time, Ryan Love, was that yeah, I could definitely borrow the money from Karen, and the issue is not about getting to Charlotte. Okay, there's basically an absolute limit to getting to Charlotte. Okay, so that shows people the level of my apprenticeship at this point, my place in Power Network history. Okay, what I want is there is going to be an event of some kind that they just make a tradition out of making these events every 3 months. Okay, and with all due respect to the people who have taken advantage of Charlotte, and I understand the whole thing about time compression and windows of opportunity and so forth, and my results may never be as good as the people who actually got their asses to Charlotte. Well, if that's the goal and the absolute intention that was put in front of you as a challenge response thing, then that's exactly what you need to do. And there are no excuses about that. What I'm saying is I have an absolute limit for various other reasons, which leaves me to suggest that even with His Grace Brian the White's maximum help, okay, there is literally no way on God's green earth that I'm going to be about getting to Charlotte, because that's not my event. Okay, my event is coming. That too is an absolute intention. And by the way, Mr. Wood, I want you to go back into the archives of the the Empower Network legal department. Dig up the communication you got from Francis Carmody, including, if you still have access to it, the recorded phone call that I was so pissed at because I basically I couldn't break through the barriers between departments, and it was ticking me off. But what I hadn't learned at the time was that I hadn't earned the right for anybody to take personal responsibility for handling my case. Okay, that's what I had not learned at the time. And sometimes in the real world, that's the way it happens. Okay. What I know is I've been taking massive action all along, even if it's an action that is potentially in the wrong direction. There are actions I know I'm taking in the right direction, such as, for example, do a video blog every day. Okay. Because it doesn't matter whether I'm doing, the blog as text, or the blog as a video, or the blog as a combination of both. The core commitment itself is blog every day, period. Okay. So anyway, that I know I'm doing correctly. What I don't know what I'm doing correctly is that I'm also sort of ranting into the mirror every time I get in front of the camera. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have what is called a Cassandra complex. Okay. And the best definition of a Cassandra complex is that Cassandra was an ancient Greek prophetess who, according to Greek mythology, was cursed by the gods as an oracle. Okay. And the nature of the curse was such that here's Cassandra. She would always tell the absolute truth, but she would never be believed. Okay. She would always tell the absolute truth, but she would never be believed. In a way, even from my terms of victimization, that's what I've come to understand. What I mean by a Cassandra complex is it's not just a matter of, I thrive on positive feedback. Most people can say I thrive on positive feedback. Okay, who doesn't? Okay, I'm one of these people. I thrive on either positive or negative feedback, so long as it's truthful. Okay, so long as it's not something where somebody is trying to pull me to their agenda by deceptive or unstated subconscious wink wink nudge nudge types of means. Okay. I grew up in the kind of broken home where, without getting into specific details, okay, the fact is that none of the adults around me felt comfortable telling me the truth. Okay, none of the adults around me ever felt comfortable telling me the truth. They wanted the truth from me, okay, but there's certain blocks in our way at the time where, for example, party line in family politics was such that basically most of the time when I actually told the truth, especially if the truth was, was quote unquote negativistic or emotionally conflicted. Okay, if I was emotionally conflicted about anything, then none of the adults ever wanted to hear it. I often got punished for telling the truth rather than rewarded. Okay, so today, what I mean by a Cassandra complex is I'm kind of a compulsive truth teller. Okay, if you really want to impress me, then you need to be honest about whether your feedback is going to be positive, whether it's going to be negative, whether it's going to be somewhere in the middle. You just flat need to give me the feedback, period. And as far as dealing with the internet and privacy as the internet is concerned, I learned that there are ways and ways and ways to take feedback. But, for example, I'm not ready to take feedback at a mass level that, for example, involves going through, 100 to 200 live fire comments about what have you. The thing is, most of the comments in any given thread anywhere on the not necessarily going to be on topic unless they're being actively moderated. Most forums on the internet are being passively moderated, if they're moderated at all. Okay, so all that to say that it's very hard to get positive feedback, and one of the problems with what I call the paranoid illness of the internet in general is that human nature being what it is far easier to complain than it is to uplift. Okay. And I've already documented that it's far easier for trying to function on the internet to make you feel powerless as an individual. We're getting to the point, ladies and gentlemen, where the kind of high level authority where you quote unquote you used to be able to do uh, do business on a handshake in the in sort of the mythical old days before technology made everything strange and alien. Okay. The thing is, there are effective ways to build relationships on the internet using the new internet technologies, including email, including including simplified broadcasting like YouTube, Vimeo, the in-house, whatever the in-house broadcasting engine is for Empower Network. Plug. Okay, I'm gonna get my own video hosting package with them as soon as possible. But anyway, so yeah, there are ways to use the internet to communicate effectively, in spite of whether or not you're quote unquote tech geek about whatever. Okay, but those are whole new skill sets. So you see where it gets really frustrating. Okay, and the thing is, Brian, as much as I love you, there's a reason we're not talking about Shackley anymore. We're not talking about it because you're not even trying to promote it. We're not talking about we're not talking about Brian Mize being involved with the Empower Network because I asked you a very basic question about your involvement with the Empower Network in the last email that I sent you. I still haven't received an answer yet. Okay. And the thing is let me explain the difference between being an Archduke and being a royal. Okay, being an Archduke means that you're effectively a paid member of my organization. Okay, you're a paid member of my organization. If you like, being an Archduke means that you work for me. Okay, so basically when you paid your fee for your archduchy, and remember, Shackley is the first established archduchy on the planet in the history of Veritasia. Okay, there's going to be a point where I'm hoping that the Veritasian subgroup, the Veritasian team inside Shackley's network is going to come to the attention of the Shackley leadership. And, basically, I would love to see, for example, so much cooperation begin to happen between Shackley and Empower Network, just to take two examples. So much cooperation begin to happen that it begins to, well, no, I don't even want to say that. I don't even want to say that. I was going to say begins to feel like a merger, but I'm using that in the emotional sense, not the sense that has any legal implication. Okay. Uh, to put it in the surely magical terms that I like to use, okay, I would love to see, I would love to see Shackley capture all of Empower Network and vice versa. Okay, whatever that means to the development of their future comp plans or what have you. Okay. Now the thing is, they may have the wrong model to, they may have the wrong model for various reasons to be able to pay the field 100% ever. Okay. That's one of the things I admire about the Empower Network is the whole boldness behind developing the 100% commission model. Okay, I understand that there are other people using things like the pass-up sales technique and so on and so forth. Don't get in that direction. Okay, call to action. Brian, either please call me, please email me, or please make a video response to this particular snippet. Whenever you get the time to respond. I understand that, it's 5:30 in the evening. I don't know what time it is where you are. I'm not proposing that we do a hangout because I frankly, I don't know how to do that yet. Okay. But, okay, back to my original point. Yes, there actually was an original point, which is that there is a difference between an Archduke and a royal. Okay. An Archduke is defined in logic as somebody who works for me. Okay. The difference between an Archduke and a royal, and remember, Brian, I was quite serious when I told you you're almost there. Okay. I was quite serious when I told you you were almost there. I was perfectly rational when I said that. But anyway, the difference between an Archduke and a royal is that an Archduke works for me. Okay, as the king, as the CEO, whatever. Okay, an Archduke works for me. A royal, by definition, I work for them. Okay, by definition, I work for the totality of the royal house because I want the royal house to help develop the vision for what the ministry is going to be. And remember, we're talking about Christians, non-Christians, business people, gamers. Let's say that pretty soon we're ready to reach gamers, so on and so forth. Horrors, opening up Shackley tables at science fiction convention dealer room. No, I'm sort of messing with you when I say that. Anyway, no, so anyway, yeah, I would love to see that happen anyway. But anyway, yeah, people's recreational loyalties are like completely different from their business loyalties, which are in turn completely different from their religious or their faith tradition loyalties. And my blueprint, if you will. I'm not just talking corporately, but like in terms of spiritually what I was put here to do on this earth. Okay. My blueprint is to see if I can get to part of the the quote-unquote lost definition of loyalty as a principle, like, and then go apply it systemically to whatever particular cause you're all in with, whether it's whether it's Star Trek, whether it's the Roman Catholic Church, whether it's evangelical Christianity in general, whether it's Taoism, Kung Fu, um, God help me, Wicca, Satanism, whatever it is, whatever causes you are all in with for whatever reason. I want to teach whatever I can about the development of loyalty and legitimacy of authority as a principle. Okay, the legitimacy of authority as a spiritual principle. Okay. As Christians, we believe that we're all under the authority of God. Okay, and without getting into any messy theological conflicts with the new ecumenism, etc., etc. Basically, I want to see if I can get to a better approximation of what genuine loyalty looks like at let's just start from the individual level. And when we start from the individual level, then we can start building the team into the family, into the tribe, into the business, into the nation, into the institution. Okay. There are, it's not just a matter of, Jack Lewis was all about, let's be very careful in our consideration of what happens when we drop ancient, traditional, and sentimental values. Okay? When we drop tradition, okay, what happens when we drop tradition can very easily lead into ultimately, I think part of what he was trying to say, and I'm trying to concentrate on The Abolition of Man because that's a book that I read, or a set of essays that I read over and over and over again, at least by audiobook. Okay, I think part of what he was trying to say was that if you eventually get to the point where you're dropping, all the existing traditional values, or what he called the Tao, and it was a brilliant move because he was embracing Taoism, but because he wanted to borrow the concept to include the idea, logically, of let's just take all faith traditions everywhere, because I can't legitimately argue this particular point, quote, just a Christian. Okay, you may not agree with all of my premises if I if I go after this as a Christian. I'm not going to make an argument for theism. That's a direct quote from Jack Lewis. I'm not trying to make an indirect argument for theism. Okay, I'm saying be careful, because once you take the step of dropping every value, then you're in danger of becoming something other than a human being. Okay, and that's very, very, very scary. Okay, it doesn't matter, it doesn't particularly matter whether you believe in, external forces like an externalized Screwtape, an externalized devil who is who's out to get you. Doesn't matter if you agree with the biblical premise that says that the devil's out there to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay. I believe Lewis was getting at was that if you take the risk of dropping every single value everywhere, okay, then you're basically at the closest approximation of of conscious evil that any human being can ever, I don't even want to use the word hope to reach, because it isn't a hope, folks, it's a horror. Okay. But, that was the statement. If you drop every traditional value, then you are in extreme danger immediately of becoming something profoundly other than human. Okay. You basically become the creature of whatever power you have sold your soul to. Okay. You become the creature of whatever power you sold your soul to at that point. Okay. So it doesn't matter, like, how you as a mere human being conceive of the devil, or whether you believe that there's a conscious devil or whatever. Okay. Myself, I have a hard time believing that there really is such a thing as quote unquote conscious evil, or at least let's put it this way: the closest approximation that one can make to conscious evil, quite literally, insanity. Okay. It is quite literally insanity because it is bound up with chaos. And anyway, that's enough about my my basic lecture on the Abbot. But anyway, Brian, please do get in touch with me. Please do respond to this. I'm not really interested at this point in whether you choose to promote Shackley now or in the future. I'm not really interested in whether you choose to promote Empower Network in the future, or, for that matter, whether you choose to consciously promote Veritasia yet. Okay. I obviously don't want you to get wrapped up in quote unquote the money end of Veritasia, but there's a reason why I would like to challenge you to get to the rank of Royal as soon as possible. That doesn't involve sending any money, Brian. It just involves responding to me and arranging another visit between us. Okay? Because what I can do, once I'm actually able to confer with you person to person in meet space in the room. Okay, no Google Hangouts, no phone calls, no email, no cyber, nothing. Okay, no illusions. Person to person contact. There's a reason why I'm saying that. Okay, is that basically, since we've met in person and share a lot of the same ethical premises, you know what I mean when I say that you are already a member of my family. I just need to be able to, to set something up that's going to verify that, and what it will mean in terms of formal transfer of rank is once you're royal house. Okay, once you're royal house, you won the game. You don't need to worry about a thing. Okay, not even the unintended consequences of what I do. That, like, for example, I don't want to screw up your life by giving you so much shackly income that it messes with your retirement trend or what have you. But see, that's another problem for another time. And see, I understand that having earned this posting as a victim, okay, from year after year after year of kvetching, I understand that it is difficult for you to believe that I can accomplish any of what I set out to accomplish at this point, okay? You're part of the only accountability team that I have right now, okay? There's you, there's Larry, and there's like one other person, okay? So, basically you're part of the council of the three, and two of those people are not even positioned to join the royal family, whether I like it or not right now. So anyway, go ahead and respond, Brian. I'm directing this specifically at you. I want to see if you have enough courage to actually respond here on YouTube, or whether I'm going to get some kind of frightened email or what have you. But I mean, it's going to be here, and you're already a subscriber. I know that for a fact. It's been verified. You're one of the dozen people who know who I am. Okay, so you're already a subscriber. You're already entitled to everything this this material ever becomes. All right. You're the first paid subscriber in the network. Okay. So by all rights, you ought to be a royal already. Okay. But once you become a royal, I want it settled that it's no longer going to be about, well, are you going to promote Shackley? Are you going to promote Empower Network? Are you going to promote, brand new company X, whatever? Okay, because at that point, royal, I literally work for the royal house. That's the definition of being king. Okay, never mind chief executive officer. That's the definition of being a servant king. I work for the royal house. From that point forward, you don't need to worry about a damn thing. Okay, you never need to worry about whether you're able to figure me out again or not. Okay, and I am hoping at some point that's going to be a relief. All right. So anyway, get back, man. I'd love to visit with you as soon as possible, and and share details that are like so great that I can't do them any other way than in a person-to-person conference. Okay, love you. Yeah, there's a reason why I've let all the internet source in on this, on this exchange. All right, because again, in various other places, I've documented the fact that I want to deal with concerns. I want to deal with concerns like, well, okay, you think it's broken that my videos are too long. Okay, you think that it's broken that my videos are too long. My that right now is that doing a stilted scripted presentation, even if I were to take notes on, what I wanted to say in advance or what have you. Okay, right now that is not transparent. Okay, the reason that's not transparent is that is a piece of hard paper law. This right here, okay, this is a piece of cybernetic law. This is a piece of mathematical law. This video being up here on the internet is a piece of cybernetic mathematical law. It doesn't necessarily have to intersect at any point with hard paper law. But there is a reason why scripting is not appropriate, because I'm making a personal call to action to one individual in this video. Basically, yeah, in one sense, I'm calling you out and scolding you in public. Okay? In one sense, yeah, I am calling you out and scolding you in public, because the original comment, let's be honest, the original comment kind of pissed me off. Okay, but you have no reason to believe that. You have no reason to believe that. But anyway, no, the scripts and the notes will come later. Okay, I want to have a bunch of paperwork behind me before I start. Before I start doing something like scripted presentation, a little marketing presentation. Right now, I'm only using YouTube to provide encouraging playlists based on the meditations of what we're able to arrive at as a royal house. Okay, right now YouTube is probably the top level domain that I really have any control over, and that's just from my private channel. Okay, but all that to say that when the hard paper law behind our offers becomes harder, okay, then it will begin to make sense why I was or was not using a script. Right now, I'm just looking to see what God will do with the learning curve that I have now, which I'm getting comfortable with doing it unscripted, because whether whether I like it or whether I believe it or not, okay, the public statement made by Archmage David Wood is that he doesn't do scripted videos, and the reason he doesn't do scripted videos is because he wants each video to have the maximum leverage with his own subconscious, let alone his own conscious process. Okay, if I can get comfortable doing that, there's a time for doing scripted videos later. Okay, and the looser I can get comfortable being, and the more transparent I can get comfortable being in the beginning, the less work I actually have to put into a script when I want to take a certain direction. Okay. Oh, no, there's a reason why I don't script these things in advance. Okay. I don't have any reason to suppose that I'm holding anybody's attention except for maybe the 12 subscribers I have now. Okay. When I'm ready to get traffic, okay, when I'm ready to get traffic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite the people who actually choose to become members with us to do their own analysis of, quote unquote, what was I actually saying in this video, that video, whatever. Did they get any value out of it? Okay. Once I get a better handle on, well, I didn't get any value out of this one because I was rambling. Okay. Versus, this one really pissed me off and you need to take it down. These kinds of reactions, once I get a better handle. See, right now, the reason you don't have any credibility is not because your argument is flawed in logic, Brian. It's the fact that you are simply one person submitting one reaction at one moment in time. Okay. So I'm not saying that I will be going to scripted videos in the future. Hopefully I will learn this technique of being briefer about what I want to say when I want to say it. Okay. But all due respect, that's just where my learning curve is right now. Okay. And with that, basically, tonight's lecture is over. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, random internet source, for joining us. But the nice thing is basically, once you get to a position to join my real house, okay, no matter how complex the game gets from beginning to end, once you are in a position to join the real house, you won. Okay, that's basically the entire master quest. That's the entire master quest. And now there's a level, authority-wise, there is actually a level beyond that. But I really don't want to get into that because, well, okay. I have the symbols available that I can get into that right now, but I don't have any expectation that anybody would be able to believe me or know what I was talking about. So, I mean, why even raise the argument? Okay. So, anyway, good night, internet serfs. Love you. Love you too, Brian. Many hugs. Good night.